While authorities in the United States are attempting to determine the origins of a batch of E. coli contaminated mince which contained some Australian beef, Lateline can confirm tonight that 3 beef shipments from Australia have been found to contain E. coli. 3 other meat shipments were also found to contain faeces or other matter in the past 5 months. And late last year, another Australian meat shipment was rejected because veterinary drug residues were found. The Federal Department of Agriculture has told this program tonight it's deeply concerned about the US detections of the potentially fatal E. coli, and the 3 Australian meat workers involved have been ordered to overhaul their export hygiene procedures. With this exclusive report, here's Kerry Brewster.
E. coli is potentially fatal. While there have been no reports of food poisoning in South Carolina, the reputation of Australian beef is hurting, with US media pointing to Australia as the source of contamination of a large blended batch of mince. While it's unclear Australian meat is the source, the Department of Agriculture says it's very concerned.
It always concerns us when Australian product is implicated in the detection of, in this case, of E. coli. And it's a consequence of those detections that we utilise the particular system that we have to ensure the highest standards of hygiene are met.
The US is Australia's second largest beef market and largest lamb market. The industry says annual exports are worth more than $1 billion. But Australia's export testing regime failed to stop another 7 shipments of contaminated Australian meat reaching the United States over recent months, raising alarm among American food safety advocates.
There's concern that the Australian meat inspection system is not catching the microbiological contaminants in the meat supply of exports to the United States.
The Australian Department of Agriculture confirms that 3 shipments of beef from 3 abattoirs became contaminated with a dangerous form of E. coli bacteria.
We take that extremely seriously. We conducted thorough investigations into the reasons for that occurring. We went out and as the regulator, reassessed our baseline. We reassessed the methodologies being applied. And we're looking at improving, again, the system to ensure that in the future the potential for these sort of incidents are minimised.
Last October, the federal government introduced a new export meat inspection system, moving away from a high level of government oversight to a more self-regulatory system. Independent MP Bob Katter, a former cattleman, says the new system will fail.
A meat inspection system that is self-policing is no policing at all. I mean, it's like asking Al Capone, would you mind ensuring that you police so that no one is selling sly grog?
The CPSU, the union which covered the former government meat inspectors, also believes the new system is compromised.
Well, the new system replaces about 40% of the government meat inspectors with a smaller number of company inspectors. And the concerns that have been raised is that that is a less rigorous system. It means that those people are employed by the meat plants. They have to meet production quotas at the same time as doing the inspection role. And that's a system which doesn't have the same safeguards in it.
Lateline has obtained emails between senior officials in the US Agriculture Department which show that up to 13 separate Australian shipments of meat were rejected over the past 12 months. They include 9 loads of mutton contaminated with faeces. This type of contamination should have been picked up in abattoirs by meat inspectors acting under Australian quarantine regulations. But the Department of Agriculture denies the system failed.
The use of non-government employees is strongly controlled through government verification and government oversight on those plants, as well as government inspectors, in addition, standing on the chain, ensuring the high standard hygiene requirements have been met. So from our perspective, in the international arena of increasing food safety demands, we have a system here that will provide us with those assurances that Australian product is the best product in the world.
But Bob Katter says our meat trade with the US is at risk.
they're just as likely to cut off the entire trade. This is $4,000 million a year trade.
They've done it with other countries where there have been contaminants found in meat that has been exported to the United States, where they've suspended importation of all meat from that country.
In the US, Australian meat imports are being tested like never before. Kerry Brewster, Lateline.
And additional reporting for that story was provided by Steve Kinane.